Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal back with another Mr. Informal podcast. Again, I go by the name of Mr. Informal. Please do not forget it. First and foremost, I just want to greet you. Good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are listening, and hopefully you are healthy, you are safe, and certainly you are 100% feeling good. So, and also, please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MisterInformal, and then check out my website, mrinformal.com, mrinformal.com. So, this is the Mr. Informal podcast 184. Can't believe we are on number 184. So, what are the four topics on this podcast? Well, number one, Nike employees. Number two, Vans, the maker of Vans shoes, and also a lot of famous skaters wear them. Vans employees. Number three, Walmart is getting into metaverse. Yes, they are. And then last but not least, number four is there are more user tracking nowadays than there ever was. What I mean by that is data, location, and also status. So those are the four topics for this Mr. Informal podcast 184. And so let's go ahead and start the podcast. So the topic number one, the article is from hypebeast.com, titled Nike is reportedly firing some unvaccinated corporate employees this weekend. Unbelievable. So, according to a report by Oregon Live, Nike has intentions of firing employees who have not received the coronavirus vaccine starting this weekend on January 15, 2022. Those who have not been vaccinated because of either medical or religious reasons have been exempt. Okay? The swoosh reportedly sent out an email to 14,000 Beaverton-based associates whom did not meet company's December 1, 2021 vaccination deadline. An email stated, "You failed to complete the verification process of our records that you do not have an approved exemption. As a result, you are not in compliance with the policy and your employment is scheduled to be terminated this Saturday, January 15, 2022. So, it's pretty obvious that this is not great for, I think, for both parties, employees and Nike. Nike is probably going to get a backlash for this, bad press, and certainly the employees will get fired. The only unvaccinated employees will get fired of this. But it's not really fixing a problem. There's no end game to this. There's really no end results to this, whatever the company you are, whether it be a conglomerate or a small business, because the variant is just gonna keep going and going. Not only that, this virus is mutating. So what happens after Omicron? Then what? Do we need to get another booster? And then we're gonna go another booster? I mean, where does it end here? And I'm really tired of just seeing these news for companies who, the same thing with sports, who discriminate against unvaccinated because they think that they're the spreaders, they're the ones who keeping the infections up. And yet, for some reason, we already have studies that vaccinated are also the ones who are spreading these things. Now, they say that if you're unvaccinated and you get infected, it's much more severe than you being vaccinated. You might go to the hospital. It doesn't matter. The hospital is full anyways, whether it be vaccination or vaccinated. Not only that, I'm not. If I'm get infected, I'm not going to go to the hospital. It's probably worse for me over there than at home, and they're gonna charge me through the roof regarding healthcare. So it's a lose-lose situation for the unvaccinated. Same thing with the vaccinated. And don't be surprised. And here's the thing. If these employees get vaccinated and suddenly get an emergency and something happened to them and they need to go in emergency, or they go to the ER, who's going to pay for it? Will Nike pay for it? They probably wouldn't. Will the government pay for it? They're not going to do it, because due to the Emergency Act, all these pharmaceuticals are not liable for whatever the result that you may face. And so that's what I'm saying, is that it's a lose-lose situation. And that's one thing that these companies don't even think about, is the repercussion. To me, it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. The question is, where does it end? Where do we go from here? Even if all of these people are 100% vaccinated and yet it spreads, then what? What do we think? And this is what happens when certain companies don't really have vision, or a certain leadership don't have a vision of what they want in the future and how they want to execute it. And this is pretty sad, I think, for both parties. This is bad press for Nike, and those who are unvaccinated that are not approved regarding their exemption are going to get fired. And again, it's also pretty sad. On to topic number 2, which is similar to topic number 1 from hypebeast.com. Bans in Supreme parent company VF Corp will also fire unvaccinated employees. So, according to reports, of bans Supreme, Timberland, and the North Face parent company VF Corp will also fire unvaccinated employees. The news comes after word of Nike reportedly firing some unvaccinated corporate employees this weekend. VF Corp employees were notified via email as soon as January 31, 2022. Unvaccinated person would be terminated without severance. It is important to note that back in October, an internal email warned that beginning January 1, 2022, all office-based U.S. employees would need to be vaccinated against the coronavirus unless an approved medical exemption was secured by January 21, 2022. They would be terminated without severance. Last month, approximately 30 employees at the Vans headquarters in Costa Mesa, California, and I know that location and I've been there, stood in protest for the call of the vaccination. Employees left their band shoes and handwritten notes sharing their thoughts on the matter in the courtyard of the office complex. Wow, that's going to be a stand. Associates who are unable to receive a vaccine due to medical reasons, sincerely held religious beliefs, and other exemption provided by the state or local law can request an accommodation exemption, wrote BF Senior Director of Corporate Affairs Colin Wheeler in an attempt the Outside Business Journal. If any associate does not have proof an accommodation by January 1, they will be prevented from accessing our facilities and will be required to work from home. While they will consult with their manager on the next step, if by January 31 they have not received an approved accommodation, they will be separated from the company and will not receive severance. I have a question regarding the severance. Is it in the contract? Now, if it is in the contract, they can't not do that. They cannot just say that, because especially if they were hired before 2019. So they cannot do that unless the employees know. Also, this is similar to Nike, but I think this is even better than Nike, because the employees are actually taking a stand. Not only that, on the last paragraph of the article says the Supreme Court recently ruled a split decision regarding a charge that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, overstepped authority by requiring vaccine testing requirements for companies over 100 employees. And so that did not pass. And so I think this a better situation for the employees. This is not a lose-lose situation for employees because they're taking a stand. And this actually look worse on vans themselves. Not only that, that location is quite liberal and also conservative, but there's probably more conservative over there than more liberals or even progressives. Now I would say that these employees who made a stand, left their shoes and handwritten notes, sharing their thoughts, are great because they want to stand and be firm with their beliefs. Not only that, I go back to the point where does it end? I mean, how many times are we gonna go through boosters, these variants, these mutations, and ask ourselves, well, where are we headed? No matter the exemptions, no matter the vaccination rate, where are we really headed? If we're gonna live with it, then the vaccine doesn't even matter. It's just gonna be a regular flu. So we have to ask ourselves, do we fire people? And again, it goes back to my point. If these employees do get vaccinated and they get some type of emergency, let's say they need to go to an emergency room because due to their health, because of the vaccine, then what? Then Van's not going to be liable. The U.S. government is not going to be liable. The pharmaceuticals are not going to be liable. It's a lose-lose situation for the employees or even the people. And so all these brands are just thinking, hey, I'm going to fire these people because they're unvaccinated. Does not make absolute sense, because you got to ask yourself, what happens when all these are vaccinated and yet the virus still won't go away? Then what? In hindsight, what's going to happen? Are we allowed to sue? Are these people allowed to sue the company? Hopefully they can, but it's just mind-boggling that no one has a vision of what they want to execute in the future. On to the third topic from Bloomberg.com, titled Walmart Filings Revealed Plans to Create Cryptocurrency and NFTs, Non-Fungible Tokens. So Walmart is preparing to create its own cryptocurrency and collection of non-fungible tokens, filling with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office show, setting the stage for meeting its customer in the emerging metaverse. The retailer sought several new trademarks in December that shows it intends to sell in virtual goods such as electronics, decor, toys, sporting goods, and personal care products. The application, which were first reported by CNBC, represent a significant step for the retail giant as it studies how to participate in the metaverse, a virtual world that blends aspects of digital technology. The applications were among flurry the company filed on December 30, including 3 under Walmart Connect, the name of the company's existing digital advertising venture for financial exchange for virtual currency and advertising. Application also filed for Verse to Store, Verse to Curb, and Verse to Home for shopping services. Walmart is continuously exploring how emerging technologies may shape future shopping experiences. So they're starting to be in the metaverse, but I don't think this is gonna be ready until 2024 because they're still trying to study it. But it just shows that, hey, once Walmart get into this, Target's gonna get into it, Best Buy is gonna get into it, your brick and mortar is gonna get into it, and don't be surprised if Costco get into it. But the problem that I'm seeing is that, look, in the end, this is great, okay? If they want to get into it, this is good. But the problem is that it's all about execution and interaction. Execution is how well will this be executed? Meaning, how are they planning this? And then certainly they have the Verse to Store, Verse to Curb, and Verse to Home. How easy it is to get into it, how easy it is to be involved. So that falls in interaction for consumer, how easy it is to use, how easy it is to explore within the Walmart's metaverse, all of that stuff. But I don't think Walmart is going to take this seriously because, I mean, they're Walmart. That's all I can say. Not only that, they don't really have the best IT people. They do have the best people who manage e-commerce. They're trying to compete with Amazon, so they have to. But in terms of the digital world, it is not something that they're in. Same thing with Amazon. I don't think, I do believe that Amazon will go there, but with their own brand, not the Amazon marketplace or not separate companies. But Amazon on their own brand, they will get there, just not now. And so the traditional shopping will still be there. And also, the thing is, this is going to start to look like QVC or Home Shopping Network, where you're going to see a lot of videos or a lot of interactions. I mean, a lot of product showcase. That's what it's going to look like. So, I mean, look, I'm glad that Walmart is going to get into it. I just hope they find the right people to actually make this work, to make this easy as it can be for new consumers, because not everybody knows about the metaverse. I mean, I still don't know what a metaverse is, even though I have some type of idea. But I think the metaverse that Facebook is thinking is probably different from the metaverse that these brands are trying to make. So, I mean, we probably have different types of metaverse. I think these companies are just saying metaverse for the sake of going into metaverse. So, topic number 4 is user tracking. So, I don't have any sources. All I can say is that, as you know, the coronavirus is still not over. We have countries in Europe that needs you to download certain apps to make sure that you are vaccinated. Also, if you were around a person who was infected, they can track you. They can tell you to log you down. Same thing in China. It's probably the same in Australia. All these things is basically tracking your location, your status of vaccination too. Also alerts you if you've been in a high infection area, all that stuff. And for me, I'm not really happy about it. I really don't understand why people download these. I really don't. If millions of people actually take a stand and say, you know what, no, I don't like this, then certainly you can overthrow the government. But by you listening to the government makes them powerful. I mean, I'm glad that we have the Constitution. I'm glad that we have 3 branches of the government: the legislative, the executive, and also the judicial, to make sure that not one government or not one form of government is powerful or having some type of dictatorship style rules. Also, a lot of these social media are tracking you all the time. I mean, I don't have Facebook on my phone. I don't have YouTube on my phone. I mean, I don't even have a lot of apps on my phone. But I don't even have TikTok, as you know. But for us to give ourselves these apps that the government tracks us, that is dangerous, and that's not a world I want to live in. Now, if you're okay with that, sure. I mean, that's your life. But don't be surprised. But all I want is just don't be surprised if they overstep the boundaries, and suddenly that's when you're complaining. I think that we have to have a set of standards and rules as to what the government can do and what they cannot do. One thing that the U.S. government has been doing, especially the U.S. Army lately, have been bombing people all over the world, and yet we're not making a stand. I just don't get it. I really don't. I mean, I guess maybe that's why I don't talk to a lot of people. But in any case, user tracking is just an all-time high right now. And so that basically concludes this Mr. Informal Podcast 184. Hopefully you enjoyed that from beginning to end, and I do appreciate it if you did that, and certainly I am thankful. Please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MISTERINFORMAL, and then check out my website, mrinformal.com, MRINFORMAL.com. And so, please be safe, please be careful, and always stay healthy. And so I will see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.